And this is happening in your name. This is the election year. They have assumed that you are fools. Nothing that they will do will have any negative impact on their winnability, on their ability to re-elect themselves, because they know that British people don't care. Either they don't care because they are fools, or they just don't bother. They are happy to go through this poverty, happy to go through this prolonged period of a cost of living crisis, happy to wait endlessly in NHS, happy to have their children's dream crushed. But they will continue to re-elect these bunch of jokers.
It was recently revealed that the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee told a private fundraising event, and I quote, "The Foreign Office has received official legal advice that Israel has broken international humanitarian law, but the government has not announced it." So I have a very simple question for the Prime Minister, and if he can't answer that, if he dodges and if he deflects, our constituents will know that he is hiding the truth.
And the Iranians are not likely to listen to him. When Britain occupied Iran, looted its wealth, and overthrew its one democratic socialist government in my own lifetime.
So you saw the shameful development taking place in the British Parliament on Monday when George Galloway of Workers' Party got up to ask a question to Rishi Sunak about Iranian attack on Israel over the weekend. Now you have to understand that Iran's attack was in retaliation to the illegal attack on its diplomatic mission premises in Damascus in Syria on the 1st of April. It had taken 13 days and yet there was absolutely no condemnation from anybody from the Western countries of Israel. In fact, as now we learn that Russia had moved a proposal before the Security Council on the 2nd of April seeking the nations to condemn Israeli action. The resolution was blocked by, no prize for guessing, UK, the USA and France, three main backers of an illegal regime of Israel. So yesterday's special convening of Parliament was as a result of Rishi Sunak coming and briefing the Parliament about the weekend's development, because UK had played an important role. UK had joined USA and other countries to defend Israel at any cost. So that was the context. He was briefing. He spoke for 5 minutes. Absolutely no reference to what happened on the 1st of April. And then when the opposition party leader Keir Starmer got up, he was agreeing with Rishi Sunak word by word. It was impossible to understand whether he represented the opposition party or the ruling party. That's how pathetic the role of opposition party has become. There's no difference between the Conservative Party and the New Labour Party under Keir Starmer. MPs kept asking questions until George Galloway's name was called by the Speaker. Now George Galloway, as you would expect, and I have said it on many occasions in my previous videos, that this guy is a breath of fresh air and British politics desperately needed a person like him. So he decided to shame. That was the moment that everybody was waiting. That was the moment. And that was the reason why Rishi Sunak, this is the moment Rishi Sunak almost feared to face George Galloway. George Galloway did not disappoint anybody. He shamed Rishi Sunak. He shamed Keir Starmer for not referring to the development of 1st of April, which is Israel's illegal attack on Iran's diplomatic premises in Damascus.
George Galloway.
Mr. Speaker, I knew your father well for a very long time. He was a fine man, and I am sincerely sorry for your loss. There was not one single word in the Prime Minister's statement of condemnation of the Israeli destruction of the Iranian consulate in Damascus, which is the proximate reason for the event everyone is here in concert condemning. He was not even asked to do so by the front bench opposite. Kay Burley is the only person so far to demand that of a government minister. We have no treaty with Israel, at least not one that Parliament has been shown. And the Iranians are not likely to listen to him. When Britain occupied Iran, looted its wealth, and overthrew its one democratic socialist government in my own lifetime.
Well, Mr. Speaker, whatever may have happened a few weeks ago, it is absolutely no justification for launching more than 300 drones and missiles from one sovereign state towards Israel. It's as simple as that. And in the honourable gentleman's question, not once did he condemn that action, or indeed the actions of Hamas in the region. There is no equivalence between these things whatsoever, and to suggest otherwise is simply wrong.
The issue is not that he dodged the question. That's exactly we expected Rishi Sunak to do that. People whose life, whose politics is replete with lies, deceits, deceptions, they will never have honest answer. You can never expect them to face your questions head on. What was disturbing was the laughter from the MPs as soon as George Galloway finished his question. This is exactly what you'd expect in your school, at your college, university, when you are faced with bullies, a bunch of thugs. But these are lawmakers, right? These are right honorable gentlemen or ladies. And this is how you treat a seasoned MP just because he decided to ask a politically incorrect question. I mean, this is how you shame yourself. Do you not realize that whatever is happening in the parliament is being watched by millions, not just in this country, but around the world? And just reflect for a moment how you have conducted yourself and how people around the world have viewed you. What impression you have left about yourself and about British politics. This is the conduct of MPs from a first world country or supposed first world country. If you look at the question and answer session that lasted for several hours, the central theme of that session was Rishi Sunak going all out in his defense for Israel's illegal act and dodging every question that came. Another question, Zahra Sultana. I think her question was very, very important in the wake of, the chair of Foreign Affairs Select Committee, the lady who herself is from Conservative Party. You remember the viral leaked audio in which this Conservative MP, the chair of Foreign Affairs Select Committee, was heard saying that the legal advice given to Rishi Sunak government about Israel was that Israel had indeed violated international laws through its military exercise in Gaza. So all Zahra Sultana was asking that Rishi Sunak should say either yes or no to confirm or deny her claims, because this would have serious ramifications. Because if your answer is yes, you have received that illegal advice about Israel breaking international laws, that means you are also complicit in that crime, because otherwise why would you, give unconditional support to a regime which has violated international laws, which has committed a crime?
Mr. Speaker, I've notified the office of the member for Rutland and Melton that I would be referencing her in my question. It was recently revealed that the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee told a private fundraising event, and I quote, "The Foreign Office has received official legal advice that Israel has broken international humanitarian law, but the government has not announced it." So I have a very simple question for the Prime Minister, and if he can't answer that, if he dodges and if he deflects, our constituents will know that he is hiding the truth. Was the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee telling the truth, yes or no?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to address this very clearly. We have one of the most robust arms export licensing control regimes in the entire world. We have previously assessed that Israel is committed and capable of complying with IHL, but we regularly review our assessment, as she would expect. As the Foreign Secretary confirmed last week, the UK position on export licences is unchanged and following the latest assessment is in line with our legal advice. We will keep that position under review and act in accordance with advice. And I would also point out to her that actually most like-minded countries have not suspended their existing arms export licences to Israel.
Now Zahra asked a pointed question to Rishi Sunak to either deny or confirm in yes or no. He went around talking about various other things except answering the question. Now, how much respect does this government have for international laws was clear in another question by another MP.
Claudia Webb.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The action of the Royal Air Force in shooting down Iranian drones and cruise missiles heading to and over Israel over the weekend raises a very serious question. Since the UK is clearly capable of acting to prevent airstrikes in both the region, and both the ICJ and the UN Special Rapporteur for Palestine and the occupied territories have implicated Israel in a genocide in Gaza, why isn't the government interested in fulfilling its obligations under international law by protecting Palestinian women and children from Israeli airstrikes? Why isn't the government acting to prevent the killing of Palestinians?
Well, I just disagree with the Honourable lady. Whilst, of course, we respect the role and the independence of the ICJ, our view is that Israel's actions in Gaza can simply not be described as a genocide, and that case is not helpful at all in achieving our goal of a sustainable and lasting ceasefire.
So what did Claudia Webb ask? She asked on ICJ ruling on Israel committing genocide and UN Special Rapporteur for Palestine and occupied territories since 1967, Francesca Albanese, who we have covered on countless occasions on this channel. She herself in her report has said that Israel has crossed the threshold of genocide. What did Rishi Sunak say? ICJ's ruling is not helpful. How shameless can you become in your defense for a regime which is breaking every international law, which has zero respect for United Nations, zero respect for international humanitarian laws, zero respect for international laws. And according to his foreign secretary, who on Sky News said that the problem was not that Iran acted, problem was that Iran's disproportionate response.
Is it bad judgment or good judgment to hit Iranian sovereign territory in Damascus?
Look, that's something the Israelis decided to do. We haven't made a... I know, well, I'll answer the question, which is, I can completely understand the frustration the Israelis feel when they look at the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and they look at the terrible things that they have done all over the world, including the support they give to Hamas. And, of course, Hamas were responsible for October the 7th, and that is where all of this begins. So you can completely understand the frustration.
Yeah, but what about Iran's frustration at part of its sovereign territory being flattened?
Well, I would argue there is a massive degree of difference between what Israel did in Damascus and, as I said, 301 weapons being launched by the state of Iran at the state of Israel. For the first time, a state-on-state attack. 101 ballistic missiles, 36 cruise missiles, 185 drones. That is a degree of difference. Yeah. And I think a reckless and dangerous thing for Iran to have done. And I think the whole world can see all these countries that have somehow wondered, well, you know, what is the true nature of Iran? It's there in black and white.
What would Britain do if a hostile nation flattened one of our consulates?
Well, we would take the very strong action.
And Iran would say that that's what they did?
Well, what they did, as I said, was a massive attack.
So they were right to respond, but they overreacted, is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that the attack they carried out was on a very large scale.
Very well, then wouldn't this argument hold true with Israel? When Israel was flattening Gaza in response to October 7 attacks, which according to them had killed about 1,200 people, was it not disproportionate for Israel to kill, more than 100,000 people? I say for more than 100,000 people because 33,000 people's death have been accounted for. And we don't know yet, how many more people have been dead because people are not allowed to go back to their houses and clear the debris to see how many more dead bodies are there. As I speak, the doctors and the UN officials are digging up, to find more and more hundreds of decomposed bodies, from the premises of Al-Shifa hospital. That's the story of just one place. So why was there no condemnation for Israel for its disproportionate attack? You were defending Israel. You were saying, well, this is war. This is ugly. Shit happens. Now when Iran launches, Iran was well within its right under Article 51 of UN Charter to protect sovereignty, because attack on diplomatic mission is an attack on the sovereignty of a nation. Now what you're saying is, Iran is the hub of terror in the Middle East. Well, that's exactly what you said about Iraq. That's exactly what you said about Libya. To justify your killing from 1 million civilians in Iraq and, hundreds of thousands of people in Libya. What happened? I mean, do you really want to trust these people and their excuses to, launch another mass killings in Middle East? That too by using your money? And the motive was clear when this gentleman got up to ask this question.
Can my right honourable friend clarify that with the threat of war growing in a way which I think bears grave risk to us here at home, that we need to set out a timetable to bring our commitment to raise the percentage of GDP that we spend on defence to 2.5% as quickly as possible, but we need specificity as to how we're going to do so.
Well, I'm pleased, Madam Deputy Speaker, that in anticipation of the rising threat environment, we significantly increased defence spending by the largest amount since the end of the Cold War just a couple of years ago, and subsequently to that by over £11 billion, specifically to deal with inflation, strengthen our nuclear enterprise and rebuild our stockpiles. But I can reassure the House and my honourable friend that we will always continue to invest in our armed forces to keep this country safe.
So, the whole purpose of creating this frenzy is to raise the defense budget. And who benefits when you raise the defense budget? The middlemen, because you will be signing a new contract for arms and ammunitions. And then there will be middlemen, there will be agents who will be benefiting. And who are those agents? Who are those agents? Those are the agents who would have the affiliation with the ruling party, either in the shape of donors or funders. So you look at everything and you see not just that it was a shameful development that the MPs were laughing shamelessly at the questions raised by George Galloway, but the utter disregard and disdain for international laws that this Rishi Sunak and his party have is mind-boggling. And this is happening in your name. This is the election year. They have assumed that you are fools. Nothing that they will do will have any negative impact on their winnability, on their ability to re-elect themselves, because they know that British people don't care. Either they don't care because they are fools, or they just don't bother. They are happy to go through this poverty, happy to go through this prolonged period of a cost of living crisis, happy to wait endlessly in NHS, happy to have their children's dream crushed, but they will continue to re-elect these idiots and these bunch of jokers. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.